All right, question 5, we want to solve the triangle round to the nearest tenth. So we are using law of sines. So I'm just going to write out law of sines. We take sine of angle A over side A, sine of angle B over side B, and sine of angle C over side C. So this is not a right triangle, but the angles still add to 180. So when we already have 2, we can immediately find the third by just subtracting from 180. So I'm going to take 180 minus 37 minus 85, and that's going to give me angle B. So I actually didn't have to use law of sines to get my angle. You only have to do that when you're just given one angle and not two. So B is 58 degrees. And now we need to solve for the two sides. And again, because this is not a right angle, we are going to use law of sines. So let's fill in what we know here. We know sine of angle A. So angle A is 37. Side A, we don't know. We know angle B, that's one we just got, is 58. We don't know side B. We know angle C is 85 and side C is 23. So when we solve, we're definitely using this one because it has both an angle and a side. And then the other two, we're just going to do both of them anyway. So let's start with A, and we're going to set those two equal to each other and solve. So first thing, I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm going to take A times sine of 85 equals 23 times sine of 37. So now I'm going to get A by itself, and I'm solving for a side. So there's not going to be an inverse. You only use the inverse when there's an angle that you're solving for. So A equals 23 times sine of 37 divided by sine of 85. And that just goes in our calculator. So I'm going to come over here and do 23 times sine of 37, and that whole thing is divided by sine of 85. Oops, I added an H in there. And you always want to make sure you're in the right mode. So I need to switch to degrees, and I have 13.9 because I'm rounding to the nearest tenth. So now we're going to do the same thing, but we want to find side B. So now I'm going to use these two. I always like to use the one without the decimal because there's no rounding. So sine of 58 over side B equals sine of 85 over 23. So there's our setup. Now we're going to cross multiply. So B times sine of 85 equals 23 times sine of 58. All right, I'm going to divide both sides by sine of 85 because I'm trying to get B by itself. So now B is by itself, and it equals 23 times sine of 58 divided by sine of 85. And this just goes in the calculator, and it's really similar to what we just did. So I'm changing that 37 to a 58, and rounding to the nearest tenth, that's 19.6. So 19.6, and when I'm looking at my triangle, those lengths make sense. That's a good thing to check.